All right, so the biggest thing most people find about winter driving is the tires that they're using. Some perform better, some perform worse in different conditions. Obviously, if you live in a place where you're going to be driving in a lot of snow and ice and there's nothing you can do about it, on your regular commute, on your way to work, a normal kind of all-season tire isn't really going to be the best thing. A regular all-season tire, it might be built for great fuel economy or getting a lot of mileage out of the tire, or certainly maybe good performance on dry roads or wet roads in the summertime. What you're going to find is a tire like this is not going to have much grip at all in the wintertime on snow and ice and slush and sand and everything else that you're likely to run into. It's a very hard compound of a tire, and there's not a lot of grooves, there's not a lot of kind of traction available here for driving on snow and ice. So why do I say that? Well, what you're going to see is a traditional snow tire looks a lot more like this. So where this tire would be very smooth and would want to slide on a surface very easily, a tire like this has a lot more features and has a lot more traction available for driving on the snow. What makes a good snow tire? One of the main things is a snow tire is going to have a very soft compound. That the compound of rubber that they're using needs to remain flexible and pliable at very low temperatures. So it's a very soft rubber compound. You'll see a lot more open gaps. Again, these are to let water and slush and things out from as the tire's rolling down the road. It squishes the mess out of the way and might get down to some better traction. The other thing that you're going to find on a tire like this, you see all of these little hairline cracks that run through the tread blocks. These are called sipes. What these allow this tire to do is as you accelerate or brake on a snowy road or any kind of road really, these are all going to flex and give you a lot of little edges that are then biting onto the snow and biting onto the ice and that sort of thing. And that's what's going to give you a lot of traction. Is the flexing of this tire and then these sipes, and what you'll find is that all of a sudden when those sipes flex you get a lot of little edges that are clawing onto the road, and that's going to give you a lot of traction. So this is a studdable snow tire. There are no studs in it, but you can see all of these little holes alternating around these outside tread blocks. So something like this is going to work very well in the snow, but it's not really going to be excellent on ice unless you put these studs in. A lot of people live in parts of the world where maybe you're not allowed to run studded tires on the roads in the wintertime. The DOT just doesn't let you run studded tires. A tire like this will be excellent in 2 or 3 inches of snow, but still not very good on the ice. When you're looking at an actual ice tire, what you're going to see is there's a lot more sipes. So this is a snow tire, this is more of an ice tire, and what you're dealing with here with an ice tire, you've got maybe 5 or 6 sipes per tread block all the way down. All of these tread blocks have all those little sipes in them, and those are again what's flexing and giving you traction as you're driving down the road. What you'll see with these little sipes, this is a brand new tire, but if I drove around even on the sand and gravel here a little bit, you notice that some of those sand and gravel particles will get trapped in these sipes. And that, again, that's not going to hurt your traction at all. If anything, it improves it. So having all of these little sipes through the tread blocks, and they're all pretty deep, almost the full depth of the tread block itself in some cases, that's what's going to allow you to have really good traction on ice. This tire will not work as well in deep snow as this one will. It just won't be able to, claw up a hill in 3 inches of fresh snow where this one might. But certainly if you're driving more on the interstate, places where the road's more likely to be plowed more often, this might be a better tire selection for you. You can tell that in snow or slush, this tire is going to expel a lot of that slushy snow and the water and things, it's going to flow out of these little passageways, where this one doesn't really have that so much. So deeper snow and certainly in slush, this might not be as good as this one, but certainly on glare ice, this will be much better than that. You'll run across some snow tires that seem to be kind of a good mix of both. And that's what we've got here. And again, this tire's been used a little bit, so you can see there's a little bit of road wear where these two are brand new, but this tire kind of combines both of the good things of each of these. You've got some nice open grooves to expel some of that water and slush and that sort of thing. It will have these nice passageways that'll also grab onto the deep snow, and they'll get you through some of that type of stuff. But you can see, especially after this tire's been used, how all of these little sipes really start to shine. And again, a lot of them are as deep as the tread block itself. So as this tire wears down, your traction's not really going to go away that much until it's pretty much bald. You'll see some tires, to look at, when you're shopping for tires, take a little screwdriver and see with these sipes, do they go as deep as the tread block, or some of them only go halfway in? Well, that means once your tire's halfway worn, it's not going to be that good at all anymore on the snow and ice. So a tire like this is a good compromise between a snow tire and an ice tire, and it'll get you through most kind of winter driving situations. Kind of a rule of thumb with snow tires, I think everybody knows now. There used to be some mechanics and some drivers that would say, oh, I have a front wheel drive car, so I only need snow tires on the front wheels to get around. Well, the problem is the back end of the car is going to be all over the place. You're going to be skidding around and losing control and having a horrible time. It's the same idea if you had a rear wheel drive car and only put snow tires on the rear. Well, all of a sudden, great, maybe you can drive up a hill, that's wonderful, but you can't steer. So if you're going to mount snow tires on a car, I think everybody, again, it's pretty much common information at this point to mount them on all four. Because even if it's a front wheel drive car, your rear tires are still doing work. And same thing vice versa with a rear wheel drive car. So if you do select a snow tire or an ice tire that you do like, go ahead and you need 4 of them. And there's cheaper options, there's more expensive options, there's some exotic ones out there that have particles of walnut shells encrusted in them so that you've got grip as the tire wears down. There's different kinds of tires like that out there that we've seen, but certainly that's just a quick 3-minute little down and dirty on picking out snow and ice tires and what the main differences are in between. One thing to be aware of with an all-season tire or a snow tire, we've cut this one in half just to kind of show you how thin the carcass of these tires actually are. And that's just something that you'll find, in order for this tire to flex and do what it needs to do. It's a very soft compound rubber, like I said, and it's got very thin sidewalls. I mean, I'm not a big guy, and I can make that sidewall flex an enormous amount. So really be careful about your tire pressures. And be careful about, sliding around and bumping into things, because if you puncture this sidewall, you're going to get a flat tire immediately. And you can see here that there's less than 1/4 of an inch of rubber there that's really keeping the air in your tire and everything else out. So you'll find if you're running softer pressures, what's going to happen is there becomes a bit of a bulge at the bottom of your tire like that. And certainly, a very soft tire will have more of a bulge, and all you're doing then is just exposing that weak part of the tire to any rocks or, sand or other obstacles or anything you might be actually driving over. You do not want to have a tire that looks like that. You want to keep these things kind of properly aired up. You've probably heard that lowering your tire pressure can enhance your traction, and that's absolutely true. If you have 40 psi of air in this, the car's not going to drive that well. It's going to be skidding all over the place. You get down towards 30, the tire's going to work great. A little below 30 for a snowstorm or something like that to get better traction, that's acceptable. Depending on the size of your tire and everything else, it's just something to play with. The big thing to keep in mind with snow tires and really any tires, when you're dealing with large changes in temperature, that affects how much air is in your tire. The warmer a tire is, as it heats up, the air expands, and you'll end up with more pressure in your tire. As the tire gets colder, as the temperatures dip down, you get down around 0 degrees, you might go out and realize, well, holy crap, you know, the car looked fine at 50 degrees. Well, all of a sudden, if it's 0 out, your tire might look like that all of a sudden. So the old joke was, you know, putting your winter air in, but you might have to actually increase your tire pressure a little bit just because the air is less dense inside at a colder temperature. So you can run into that problem. So keep a tire pressure gauge in your car. They're cheap. You can pick one up for, you know, $5 at any gas station or truck stop, and keep an eye on your pressures because again, with such a soft tire and such a thin sidewall, we do see a lot of people in the winter time, or certainly in the fall and the spring with the temperature changes. It's easy to get a flat tire with this, a lot more so than a normal summer tire.